Hello and welcome back to another video on my channel. I hope you're all well. Today is in fact my 21st birthday. That's strange, but anyway, I decided that I would quite like to make a video, so here I am. Yeah, basically I just want to give my thoughts on what right now is the cheapest and best coupes that you can buy in the UK. If you're not from the UK, you know, if you're a car guy from somewhere in Europe or the States, you might still be interested. So make sure you stick around and see what the car market here is like. So with no further ado, let's jump right into it and see which coupes I think are the best value right now. Okay, so let's get this started off. The cheapest, most budget-friendly coupe. Now this is the sort of thing that you might get if, I don't know, maybe you've just passed your driving test, maybe you're still a learner, but you want something with a little bit of an engine, a little bit of power, and something that just sort of looks pretty good. So this is a nice entry level, and seriously, I think these cars are excellent value. So my first pick is going to be the Hyundai Coupe. Now I actually quite like these cars, and it so happens that I have owned a few.
I recently reviewed my own Hyundai Coupe, so here's a clip from that video now.
Hi, I think it really does look great, especially for the age. It really does look great. Yeah, loads of shopping. You can even fit multiple people if you're a murderer. Let's have a little pull.
And I really do think they're great cars. Now, if you're willing to go out yourself and you have some mechanical knowledge and you can check over a car and buy it and negotiate with the seller, you know, you can get some insane deals. I mean, like at the moment, I think prices on used cars are going down slightly, especially here in the UK. So, you know, there are some deals out there. So we're looking sort of around £1,000, which is, you know, about $1,200, about 1,200 USD. I mean, just having a little look here on Facebook, you know, I mean, there are a couple like really rough ones under £1,000, which I think is amazing. So just as a little spec overview on these cars, you can get them with a 1.6 with, I think it's about 100 horsepower, or the 2 litre, which is the bigger engine, and that's about 140 horsepower. Now, obviously, I don't think it's ever worth going for the 1.6. They're not. I've heard that they're not that much better on fuel. I've never personally owned one of the 1.6s. I've only ever had the 2 litre coupes, but I've heard that for the power difference, there really isn't much of a fuel saving. So if you are going to get a Hyundai Coupe, I would recommend going for the SIII variants, the last variants that they made. I think they look the best. I think they're the best value. I mean, they're very similar to the generation before, but I think the SIII is the one to go for. And, you know, they make 140 horsepower. They're not very quick, but they rev. Those engines are nice to rev. You can rev them all the way through the range. And they are fairly fun cars to drive, especially for the price. Like for around £1,000, I think this is a very difficult car to beat on value. So that is my first pick for some of the cheapest coupes in the UK right now. I mean, look at this example. It has a new MOT, it's just had brakes, it's in decent condition, the alloys have been painted black and they've been curbed a bit, but this is a decent looking car. I mean, for 1,400 quid, you know, a bit of negotiation, somewhere around £1,000, you've got a leather interior. I can see it has the red leather. It's a good looking coupe. Like, what more could you ask for that sort of money? It's great. And then if you want one in red, like the car that I personally owned, then I think these are good looking cars, you know, I think these are really good looking cars, especially for the price. But anyway, moving on, my next pick is going to be an Audi TT. Now it's going to be the Mark 1 TT, obviously, they're dirt cheap these days.
I have actually owned and made a review on a Mark 1 TT, so please take a look at this clip.
Anyway, let's take it for a drive. I just want to start off by saying, the people who are going, are you mad? You've just bought an Audi TT, like literally last week. Why the hell have you just bought another one of the same generation with the same engine? And the answer is, yes, I'm mad. Alright, I'm mad, completely mad.
Even since last year, I've noticed they're becoming a bit more expensive. But even if you want a nice one, you could pick a good one up for about 2k, and you could definitely find a slightly ropier one that might need a bit of work for 1,000 or maybe even less. So they are still very good value cars. I mean, just for instance here, there's a Mark 1 TT. It's a 190 brake horsepower model, which they did at the end of the run for the Mark 1s, but you know, let's just consider it for this video a 180 because they're pretty much the same. And you know, I mean, a car like this apparently it's been remapped to 210 brake, which is very good, but these 1.8 engines are indestructible. They're pretty reliable, they're good engines. You can tune them pretty easily. I mean, all in all, these Audi TTs are very good cars, and this person here is asking £1,500 for a 2006 Audi TT, which was the last year of the Mark 1 TTs. So, you know, 130,000 miles, that is a very good value car. I've had a few of these, and I can tell you they are fun cars to drive. Even the 180 brake horsepower cars, it's lovely having that turbo, and you know, they're great cars, and you can pick them up for very cheap. That's why the Mark 1 TT, particularly the 180 brake model, is the second pick of mine. If you want the one with a bit more power, the 220, the 225 engine, then you know the price is going to be creeping up a little bit. If you're really looking for one of the cheapest sports cars, definitely one of the earlier Mark 1s with the 180 horsepower engine, that's definitely a good place to look. So moving on then, another car which I think is great value is the Toyota Celica. I feel like people don't talk about these enough, but the Toyota Celica, I mean, to start with, it's a Toyota. This car isn't going to really break, it's only going to rust, it's not going to break. You know, you're going to have corrosion issues, but your engine will go on forever. I believe they are chain driven, but these engines will go on forever. They are brilliant. And you know, I mean, you can see some really cheap stuff here off the bat. I mean, this person's asking £900. I mean, how on earth can they? Apparently, the car sounds like it's, you know, pretty solid. It's got a new MOT, it's got a new clutch, it's been serviced by the sounds of it. They're saying the car is mint. So it's the 1.8 litre making about 140 horsepower, which it's very similar to a Hyundai Coupe in power. There's not a lot to moan at. I mean, this again is very good value. I don't think they're as good looking as the Hyundai Coupe. Some may disagree, tell me down in the comments. Personally, I prefer a coupe, but yeah, these Celicas are still very good cars, and I am actually looking for one of these, particularly the 190 brake horsepower model, which is a little more sought after, a little more expensive. But again, these are brilliant cars. I would definitely recommend these to somebody looking for a coupe on a budget. Okay, so moving on to our next choice. Now this is going to be a car that I actually own right now, and a car that I've been working on quite a lot recently. And believe it or not, I actually won this car in an eBay auction by mistake. I just put a bid in and forgot about it, and I ended up winning it. But the Mercedes C-Class. Okay, hear me out. Now the particular generation I'm referencing is the W203 Coupe. Now, I don't think these cars are the best looking, and I think it's a bit of a stretch. I mean, they are technically a coupe, but they're not a real coupe. You know, they're designed on the saloon, the C-Class saloon. They're not a real coupe. They weren't designed from the ground up. To be honest, they don't handle that well. They don't feel like a coupe, but they are technically a coupe. And if you look at some of the photos, they're not bad looking cars. They're not my favourite. You know, I still think that they're interesting cars. And the best thing about them is if you look for a C200 coupe with the diesel engines, they are actually very cheap. And funnily enough, I am myself selling a diesel W203 C-Class coupe, and yeah, I mean, they are interesting cars, but you know, my one is in black. I've just painted the wheels gunmetal grey. I've done a fair bit of work to this car. It's had new brakes and things like that, and it's had a service. But yeah, I don't think these cars are the best looking things in the world, but anyway, I will put my one up on screen for you to look at. I think that they're mostly forgotten about. I think people, when they think, oh, I want something slightly sporty, I want a coupe, decent engine, I think people overlook these because you can get 40-50 miles per gallon on a motorway journey. They have 6 gears. It's the 2.1 or 2.2 litre diesel from Mercedes, and you know, they are reliable engines. They are bulletproof. I've seen people run these engines into the ground and they just keep going. This is when Mercedes was making really good quality engines. So that's why I want to recommend this car, and because of how cheap they are. You can pick them up anywhere from £1,000 to £2,000 for a half decent one. My one has 123,000 miles, it's in okay condition, but mechanically it's in very good condition. And you know, I think a car like this is very good for a lot of people, and you know, if I wasn't so car mad and changing cars every other day, I would definitely consider keeping something like this as a cheap, reliable and cheerful daily. So maybe you should too. Now, my last pick for a coupe is going to be one that perhaps you could have seen coming from a mile away, and it's going to be another diesel car. So it's going to be the BMW 320d. Now, it's going to be the E46 generation, and I think these are quite good looking cars, if I'm honest, and I would really like to own one because I've never owned one of these. But again, you can find them quite cheap, but they will probably be ropey. But if you scour Facebook Marketplace or eBay, Gumtree, whatever, you could end up finding a half decent car. I think the problem with these cars is that they're good cars, and that's their downfall, because people ended up cruising and doing quite a lot of mileage in them. I mean, here's a really nice looking car. It's on 170,000 miles, but it's a 320D M Sport. These cars are quite powerful, 150 horsepower on a turbo diesel engine. It's going to have quite a lot of torque. I do think they are very good looking cars. Now, this one that I'm showing you on screen right now is in this lovely burgundy colour. This is a very nice example. So obviously the price, I wouldn't consider that cheap, especially not for that mileage. But if you look around, you can find some really cheap ones. Like here, 190,000 miles. Again, they do seem to be quite high mileage, but that's because they're comfortable cars. People have driven them a lot. So again, you know, you've got that reliable BMW engine in there, that diesel engine, and apparently this car has no issues. So I think for this sort of price, around £1,000, if you can pick one up of this generation, which ended, I believe, in 2006, this is a very good value car. I mean, the whole reason why you want a coupe is for a little bit of handling and to look cool. And I think the cars that I've put on this list sort of fill that mostly. Maybe not the handling so much, but certainly the looking pretty cool on a budget. And there really is quite a lot of choice out there, so have a scour through your local marketplaces, have a good look, you will find something. I mean, of course, if you want to buy from a dealership, it will be more expensive, and you will be more looked after, but if you're like me and you like a project, go out there, go have a look on Facebook Marketplace and find something dirt cheap and make it nice again. But anyway, I think that is going to round off my top 5 coupes for cheap money right now in the UK market. So please let me know if you agree with my list and if you think I should have added anything. I'm really interested here if anybody can suggest other cars that I should have added on this list, and maybe I will make another video. But anyway, I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that I've inspired you a little bit to go out and buy a cheap car, because that's what life's all about, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Perhaps drop a subscribe and like while you're there. But anyway, I hope that you will have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.